Hi, my name's Fraser. I'm here today with Childofbones. So tell me, Childofbones, what do your ancestors mean to you?
Oh God, my ancestors, what they mean to me, everything in a way, because the ancestors are very much part of our heritage. They're my bones and my blood. They're the expression of chi through the lineage of my soul in a way, and my physical carriage. They are the sacred place that I classify in home in Polynesia, where they're buried in a cemetery, and that's the place that I also go as a reservoir of great strength to call on when times when I'm troubled or I need spiritual renewal. I go to my ancestors in journeys and in trance work, and I lay next to them, and I lay next to my dead ancestors as the Mother Earth cradles their bones and looks after them with protection in her belly. And so for me, the power of ancestors is a gigantic blessing in my life and a very powerful reservoir of strength.
That's obviously a very important connection to you. And can you remember a time when you first felt this connection?
When I was very young, I always saw spirit, and I also heard them. And in my family's interpretation, it was the power of the ancestors that were calling. And so when I was a child, I used to see, I grew up in a small village in a rural seaside town, and the interpretation of a child was, with my spirit contact with my ancestors, was that in the night that they would call me, and sometimes I would also see it and hear it, and it would be, I grew up near an estuary of water, and the spirits would call my name across the estuary. And how that played out in physical three-dimensional reality was that within 48 hours someone in close proximity in the village I was raised in, or somebody that I knew directly, would pass away. So when I was a child, I was very fearful about my connection to the ancestors, because as a child I misinterpreted that I almost had some kind of link to them dying, these people, or grief. I found the grief of death overwhelming, and I also lost people close to me, you know, quite a lot more than my peers did when I was very young. So grief and mourning and death were quite paramount in my early childhood, and the power of the ancestors almost notifying me on a radar that someone was about to die was quite distressing. So when some of my older relatives said that I had a gift with this ability of the ancestors, I actually thought it was a joke, because I hated it. I really hated it. And of course, as one matures and becomes more comfortable with death and grief, and see it as part of the life experience, and of course that no one's really gone from us, they've just transitioned. And of course it was a very Polynesian way to see the ancestors, that they were calling across the river my name, because of course what I was interpreting was that someone was about to go into a passage. They were going to cross the great river and go into another dimension. And so now my respect and my love for the ancestors is almost palpable when I'm on the subject, because I revere them so much, and they're very protective of me, and they always have been. And there's been marked circumstances in my life where very strongly the power of the ancestors have come to my aid. And like some of my friends who are very into archangels and angels, and they pray to them and they believe the angels protect them, which of course I'm sure they do, mine has never been an angelic connection. My connection for protection and love and guidance, and to alert me to danger and in my physical environment, has always been the power of my ancestors. They're a specific colour, an asexual voice that has always been with me, that only alerts me to danger, and has saved my life a couple of times, without doubt has saved my life a couple of times. And even once, it was remarkable, when I was a young nursing student, we used to carpool with my friends, and we were all in this little car with one of my friends, Vanessa, who was driving us to work in this hospital, and the power of my ancestors, this asexual voice, came to me, which I'd heard all my life, and just said accident, accident, and it was so clear. And all I had time to do was tell everyone in the car. We were so busy talking about boys and nightclubs and everything. And all I had time to do was say, put your seatbelts on. That's all I had time to do. And everyone, because I said it in such a forceful, authoritarian voice, put your seatbelts on, everyone clicked. And within minutes, we hit an oil spill, and it had been drizzling with rain. And someone had spilled oil in a previous accident overnight and hadn't cleared it up. And then the drizzle, and it was downhill, and the car lost complete control, and it was written off. The car was written off, and all that we had done was put our seatbelts on. We had no time to prepare for anything, and we all had whiplash, and we were all fine though, we're all fine. And my nursing friends, when I've had reunions with them, still say, oh my God, what about when your ancestors told us to put seatbelts on before the accident? And that's not the most graphic, and certainly not even the most interesting tale of my ancestors, but for the sake of relaying it on a short YouTube clip, I think it also shows a protective element that's, you know, that's not that complex. So yeah, to me, the power of my ancestors are my guardian angel equivalent. They're my strength, my blood. They believe in me. They bolster me up. They protect me. They have an invested interest that I do well in life, that I flourish, that I bloom. They are like the most beautiful, unconditional, supportive, loving reservoir of unconditional love in my family. And the more that I accept my immediate family, and the more that I accept my life and you know, everything about my physical vessel, the more I can tap the power of my ancestors. Because anything, I believe strongly that anything in my ancestral line, or that I dislike about my physical body, or, you know, what I've inherited, for example, to be quite crude about it without going into detail, the less power I can pull through my ancestral veins, if you like, on a spiritual level. So the more I've opened and the more I've worked on my family tree to clear any hexes and curses or generational stuff, addiction, for example, is a bit rampant in my family tree. The more I've tried to heal and soothe that with the likes of Mako woman, you know, the shark goddess, the very tribal god that I use from Polynesia, that I particularly use for ancestral blessing, and to remove hexes and curses, for example, or generational, you know, when I say hexes or curses, it can be that others put on, but I mainly mean stuff that we inherit, that, you know, where people were a bit off and we keep playing out the same thing. You know, I use that god quite powerfully for that kind of healing, and she's been amazing to me and my family, and she'll show me when I need to go back to the, you know, the cemetery where my ancestors are cradled in the belly of the earth, and I know that there's more work to do, and sometimes it's in stages, and sometimes we do a shark attack and we get out again, and there's more relief, and there's more power that comes to me, there's more power of blessing from my ancestors. So that's probably enough for now. Hope that's helpful.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.